Are you? Oh, yeah.
Yep, recording. Welcome everyone to our very first Team Shine meeting. This is so exciting. Chris and I are both so excited to be able to offer this incentive every month to you guys when you sell 500 or have a recruit to be able to earn an awesome opportunity like this for the next month, where you'll get to hear from some awesome speakers that are definitely going to impact you in your business and in your life. So we are super excited for this, and we are thrilled to have Kelly here as our very first speaker. Kelly is a senior executive director, and she joined in 2010, so way long time ago. And so she has much knowledge to share. And just a little personal story, I thought I was trying to think through today. When did I first meet her? Like, what was my first impression? Don't you love when people start a story like that, Kelly? So I was thinking back to my first leadership incentive trip that I earned, and she was there, and we had one morning they just kind of put out a little, email or text or something saying, we're going to meet down by the water and we're going to pray. I think it might have been on a Sunday morning. We're just going to have just a real casual, just a praise and worship service. We just had some prayer time, and she shared a devotion. And it was just a great time just to, be together with the other consultants. But I just was like, wow, she is just such a woman of faith. And she's just, I could just tell from the things that she shared that she just loved 31, and she loved, all the ladies there who she knew, who were on her team. I could just see her heart for women, for the company, for God, just all of that I could just see. And then over the years, just kind of getting to know her better. She's just a woman full of wisdom about life, but also about our business here. And so I am so excited to hear what she's going to share with us tonight.
Well, thank you. Do you know what? I did not realize that I'm your first, that this is the first.
Yes.
Wow. So holy smokes, that's amazing and awesome. And oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps. Because I do the same thing for my team. And I just want to start out by saying congratulations, you guys. Let's give each other a big woohoo. And I learned, I don't know if you know this or not. Being that you're under Terry, or some of you are, and she's the virtual, guru of all things. You probably know this already, but I learned this thing on this motivational seminar thing I went to with Tony Robbins and all these other big name people, that they go, oh, do this. This is clapping and being all happy, and do the happy fingers. So congratulations, you guys. It is really a big deal to either submit $500 to be on what did you call it, Terry?
Oh, we're calling ours Team Shine.
Team Shine, yes. We called ours Team Elite, and then Home Office came out with the Elite Consultant. And I know it's probably all confusing, but anyway, we stuck with that name. But I'm really proud of you guys. And I'm also, whenever I speak, especially at 9:00 at night, I like to say, way to get on the call, right? Way to invest in yourself. And I really think that you should be proud of yourselves for doing that. There will be others who will come on and see the recording, and who weren't able to make it tonight. And honestly, I say to you girls, woohoo, because anytime you can't make a live call, I feel like it takes supreme commitment and dedication to actually go back and see a recording. So anytime anybody sees anything by recording, I say woohoo you, because I think that that's a really, really big deal. So anyway, thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm thrilled to be here. I did a call for Lisa Niederberger's, did a Zoom for her lineage a couple of days ago. And the Lord gave me a very powerful message for them. And I was hoping he was giving me the same message for you. But when I sat down with my pen and paper this afternoon, which is what I typically do, I just pray for, a week or two, and then ask the Lord to give me the words. And lo and behold, he gave me different words than what he gave me for Lisa's crew. So I'm happy to be here tonight to share a little bit about sponsoring and a little bit about digging into your deeper why. So, again, first and foremost, yay you, woohoo, and thank you for inviting me. And as I mentioned before we hit record, you might want to grab a pen and paper because there might be some little nuggets for you to write down. So if you need to go grab that, go ahead. And yeah, just so you know, I do take notes. It's my only hope of us not being here till midnight because I like words and I use a lot of words. And I find if I take notes and refer to them, I'm less likely to go off on bunny trails. So I'll be referring to my notes tonight, and I'm just super excited. So, as I said, we're going to touch on sponsoring and digging into your deeper why. But it also occurred to me today that this may also end up being a little bit of a dream big call, which is something that we used to do way back in the day. I don't know, Terry, if you were around for that, but we, Carrie Early and Martine and Jennifer Pasolakis and Amanda Graves and several other girls would pull together these dream big series. And they were always, really great calls about dreaming big. And I just think that that is such an important piece of our business, that we learn to dream big. Just some of the nuggets the Lord gave me today, I feel like we're kind of in keeping with that. So I think that's going to maybe be the third little piece. So whenever I do these calls, or it's so funny that you said in the introduction about the little sunrise service that you came to during one of the leadership incentive trips. I do one of those at every leadership incentive trip and a lot of our leadership programs that we do. And, the different things that I do and my old CNCs, and now they're called gathers. One of the things that I really like to do is I like to grab either my Jesus Calling or my Jesus Always devotionals, and I like to read from the day, like whatever that day is. And I've been doing this for years, and the Lord never, ever disappoints. That message in either Jesus Calling or Jesus Always is always very timely. And if you get nothing else from tonight, if you get a little nugget from what I'm going to read to you from Jesus, Jesus Always is what I chose. Then I hope that you do. And I do always feel like, and I've done for years, I think that there's something very special in that message for you all, for this group of people, for tonight. So I am going to, I think I'm going to start with that. Let me just take a look here, because yes, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Jesus Always. So this is from April 12th. And what's also interesting is I looked back, and on April 11th, a year ago today, my husband and I got to spend the day with Scott and Cindy in their Florida home. And I just thought how interesting that that was the anniversary of that. And then now tonight to be able to do this with you guys, and then also incorporating that dream big piece. Because if you had asked me, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, did I ever think in a million years that I'd be, sitting with Cindy on her couch as we overlooked the water, watching our husbands fish out on their dock? I mean, in a million years, right? I never would have thought I would ever have the opportunity to do anything like that. And that's what dreaming big will do for you, because it was Cindy Monroe several years ago that gave me permission to dream big. And so tonight, I want to be one to give you permission to dream big. And I'm sure that your leaders are doing that as well. But anyway, I just thought the timing of all that was really, really something. Okay, so from Jesus Always, April 12th. Your relationship with me transcends all your circumstances. This is why you can praise me and enjoy my presence in the midst of the darkest difficulties. To find me in such times, you have to really exert your faith, but I am always near. As a Christian, you live on two planes simultaneously: the natural world, where adverse situations abound, and the supernatural world, where I reign supreme. Your trust muscles empower you to experience my presence even in your hardest times. In fact, trials can both strengthen your faith and help you discern how much you actually trust me. I want you to work on strengthening your trust muscles. One way is to fill your mind and heart with scripture. Another is to seek my face continually. Instead of getting stuck in introspection, turn your thoughts toward me. Make it a practice to affirm your faith in me frequently, whether you're feeling confident or inadequate. Remember that your adequacy rests in your relationship with me. I make you ready for anything and equal to anything by infusing inner strength into you. So I feel like that can anybody receive anything from that? Can you, do you, and you can, by way of hands or whatever. I love to see. Yep. Make sure you're paying attention. I just loved that. And if you like to, know what scripture things come from, which I think is very important, that came from James 1 verses 2 and 3, Psalm 105 verse 4, and Philippians 4:13. So James 1 verses 2 and 3, Psalm 105:4, and Philippians 4:13. So I hope that you enjoyed that. That's just a little something from him. And the other thing that I think is very interesting is that today is a very, very special day for me. It is my 9th anniversary of escaping healthcare. It was 9 years ago today that I will take a big woohoo for that. It was 9 years ago today. I didn't even know until I opened up my Jesus Always, and it was written in there. 9 years ago today, I walked away from a 25-year career in healthcare. And it was 18 months after starting my 31 business. And again, in my wildest dreams, I never would have imagined that I would ever be able to do anything like that, especially just, a year and a half after joining. I was a registered nurse. I was a leadership development specialist. I had been doing it a long time. I made really good money, and, I was well credentialed and all that. And then I got to be a full-time bag lady. So that's, talk about dream big, that's what it's all about. And then when I thought about that, and I thought about what it was that enabled me to be able to do that, I realized that it was all about what? Sponsoring, and also digging in to my deeper why and dreaming big. So I really think the Lord has something in that. And so anyway, it's just really so much fun to be able to share this anniversary with y'all tonight. So as Terry mentioned, I joined in August of 2010 when my life was a bit of a mess. I was making good money. It was about between $70,000 and $80,000 a year, but I was stressed out, overworked, underpaid as far as I'm concerned. I had a ton of responsibility. I was underappreciated, and essentially, I was getting the life sucked out of me. I feel like every day that I went to work. Anybody relate to that? Yeah. Yeah, you can relate to that. Okay. Also, our daughter, who is now almost 19, our Hannah, we adopted her at birth. She was 9. And she was struggling at school major, and she has all sorts of learning disabilities and auditory processing and sensory integration and all sorts of challenges at school. And she was struggling so bad, and it was so painful, and she had so much anxiety. And we were the family that, at the table, at the homework table, she would cry, I would cry. I mean, it was just a disaster. And so things were not going well there. And some of you might be able to relate. Sometimes when things aren't going well with the kid, sometimes that trickles into the marriage. And I'm married to a sweet, wonderful guy. But we were really struggling. When I look back at that time, everything was like sort of falling apart. So anyway, I was a big, hot, heavy mess. And then 31, on the other hand, was a lot of fun. And because I chose to sponsor, I promoted quickly, and I started making money and making, so I joined in August, I promoted by December. And at that point, I was probably starting to make a little over $1,000 a month. And that was really cool. And that is kind of what got me digging into my deeper why. I came in because the bags were cute, and I had to really think about this. The bags were, yep, Audrey, everything getting harder at work. I know, I totally get it. Bags were cute. I was having fun. I was doing something for myself. I was making a little bit of extra money. But somewhere early on, I had heard that it was important to discover your deeper why. So I set out on a mission to do it. And because of my background in leadership development, my love of learning, I watched and listened to everything that I could get my hands on, because I really do think that leaders are readers and leaders are learners, and leaders I say are readers, but now they're also listeners, because I really have started enjoying Audible, like, books on tape. And I never did that before, because I like a pen and I like to highlight and all that. But anyway, I watched and listened to everything I could get my hands on. I learned, and then I learned how to dig deep for myself. And even better, I learned how to help others dig deeper, to discover their deeper why. And it's actually not that difficult. In fact, Terry and I had the opportunity to do it when we were at the retreat, poolside. And I think it's been very, very helpful for my career. And so, yeah, I think it's like a really big deal, because many of you have probably heard a lot that it starts with why, that it always starts with why. And the thing that I have learned most recently is that I feel like it's not just a 31 why. I think we used to say why 31, but I think it's bigger than that. I think it's your life why. I think it's your purpose, your passion, your deeper why. Okay, I thought this was quite inspired, so I'm going to read it. Your purpose, your passion, your deeper why, so you can find more inspiration in your work, and in turn, inspire those around you. We all want to be fulfilled in life, and that starts with understanding why we do what we do. It will renew your passion, give you a better filter to help you make decisions, give you a new lens to see the world through, and inspire others to do what inspires them, so that together we can change the world. And I really believe that we can do that when we're all working from a place of our passion and purpose, and living in our deeper why. So many of you have probably heard of Simon Sinek. Have you guys heard of him, watched any of his blogs or anything? Cindy absolutely loves him. I think it might have been Cindy who first introduced him to me. So Simon Sinek, Sinek, and he wrote the book Start with Why. And then in the meantime, he has now written Find Your Why. So Find Your Why by Simon Sinek. And I think it's fantastic. I do think it's worth a purchase. For this one, I think the book is nice because it's sort of a workbook. And I think that that's harder on Audible. But anyway, it's such a big topic and there's so much to it. And tonight I am just going to skim the surface, but I do always like to make book recommendations because people are always asking me. So I do like Simon Sinek, and I think he's very trustworthy. He's very simple. He's very down to earth. And he has some good blogs and podcasts, and he's easy to follow. And I always liked to pay attention to the things that Cindy said. So when she would recommend somebody, I'd usually jump on. So I think that it's good. Yeah, he started with Start With Why, now Find Your Why. And you will get a lot more out of that. But tonight, I just want to do a little small exercise with you guys. And I'm just scratching the surface. Okay. But there's like really, I like the book. And so the whole thing about finding your deeper why is really nothing more than doing what's called a root cause analysis. And the simplest way to describe a root cause analysis is when you're digging deeper into something and you're asking why like 5 to 7 times. You just keep asking why, like again and again and again, until it gets you down to the heart of the matter. And it is not a difficult thing to do. There's no tricks. It's not complicated. And as I mentioned in my 31 history, I typically do it the most poolside with ladies with drinks in hand. And then when we have tears, we just splash the water on our face and we never know any different. But because there is a rule of thumb, you haven't really discovered your deeper why until it makes you cry, or until you feel like you want to cry. That's when you know you've really dug deeper. So the cool thing about discovering your why is that it will then lead you to the hows and the whats. Okay, so learning your deeper why leads you to the hows and the whats. And it will keep you going when the going gets tough, right? Have any of you had any tough seasons in life, in your 31 career? I'm seeing a show of hands. That's really the other big thing about the why and the deeper why. When you find it, it will push you through the things that make you struggle in life. And I like to say that sometimes I just find it sad when sometimes we let our why be our excuse. And so sometimes we say, we want to do all these things for our family, but then we don't do it. And we say it's because of our family. So when it's your why, but then you're letting that be your excuse not to do your why. And that's probably the only tough talk that I have for you tonight, is to just learn to be honest with yourself and recognize when you're making excuses and try to stop making excuses. And self-awareness is the key. So, when you're becoming aware, it sounds like this is an excuse. It probably is. And, we got to stop making excuses. We can't let our why be our why not. So, I thought about seeing if I could do this with one of you guys, but in the time that we have, it just never really works out that way, because if we're going to do it sincerely and I work with somebody, Like it does take a little bit of time because I have to give you time to think. So I'm just going to go through this like very quick scenario of sort of how I dug down into my deeper why. And this is something that you guys can do with yourself. Okay. If you just get quiet and still, you can do this yourself, but it's really good when you do it with each other. Okay. And when you become a woman that can talk to any other woman and help her, um, discover her deeper why. So here's a bit of my example. So back in the day, if you had said to me, you know, Kelly, what's your why for doing 31? I probably would have said, well, the bags are cute. This is fun. I'm making some money and some friendships. You know, I'm making some new friends. That's really fun. Okay, so then the next question is, okay, why is that important to you? So when I'm working, that's what I will say to women, like, okay, so that's so why are those things important? And then me might say, well, I need some fun and I need some money. I need some extra money. And then I usually say, okay, work with me here. This is going to sound a little crazy, but why do you need fun? And why do you need money? Right? See, I'm just asking, well, why is that important? So then the answer might be, I'm not having enough fun and I don't have enough money. Okay. Why is that important to you? Well, no fun makes my life miserable, and no money is stressful, and it makes my husband cranky. When we don't have enough money, he gets very cranky and he is not fun to live with. So then I say, okay, I know this sounds ridiculous, but why is that a big deal to you? What about that is important? Well, life is short. Being stressed out makes us ugly at the Ricketts house. Living paycheck to paycheck causes strife and it shuts my husband down, and that is not fun. And okay, so now I've said why 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So I'm going to say it again. Why is that important? And my answer is because I want peace and joy in my home. I want a home filled with peace and joy. And so that has been my why for years now. But when you asked me, 5 or 6 whys ago, I said, bags are cute. It's fun. I'm making a little extra money and I'm making some friends. Okay. There is a big difference. Can you see the difference? What's my why for 31? What's my why? My why is to have peace and joy in my home. It's not about cute bags. Yes, fun is kind of what helps to get there. And money, it's what can we do with the money and the friendships. But the overarching thing is about peace and joy in my home. So yes, it is amazing, isn't it, Tiffany? It is. I mean, right? And like, can you see, it's just why? And you're just digging deeper and deeper and deeper. And if anybody wants to come off a mute, and if you have any comments or anything that you want to say, please feel free. It's one thing I hate about Zoom is everybody so silent, because that's not the kind of teacher I am. Anybody? Okay, well, you have that opportunity. So then the next important thing is this, and pay attention to this, is when you get there and when you start to figure out what that deeper why is, I want you to ask yourself, what is it going to feel like? We cry at everything. What is it going to feel like when you are living from that place? What are the positive emotional feelings that you can tie to what that is going to feel like? What's it going to look like? What's it going to sound like? What's it going to feel like? What's it going to taste like? Okay, because there can be a taste to all of this as well. When the Ricketts have money, we actually like to fine dine. And as opposed to, like, gonna run off and grab something at Taco Bell, right? Like, fine dining is something that we actually really enjoy. It may seem frivolous to some, but it's experiences and things that we have had so much joy over fine dining experiences. And so when you figure it out, it is really, really great for your brain. And you create new neural pathways in your brain around tying positive emotional feelings to what it is that you're going for. And then the other piece of it, you know, what is that money going to do? And I don't think there's anything wrong with making money. And I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about money. And a lot of women do have a problem with it. And that is a big barrier. Okay. But being able to talk about money and what money does for you is really, really very important. And it is biblical. Like, there's that's a Proverbs 31 woman. She worked hard and she got paid for what she did. Okay, she didn't have to do it for free. Nobody said she had to do it for free. And so that whole thing with figuring it out, we framed it in terms of Hannah and what we were able to do for Hannah. And we were able to get her out of that miserable school into a private Christian school. And within 2 days, we got our kid back, and the anxiety stopped, and the crying stopped, and all of it stopped. And we actually changed the trajectory of her entire life by what happened with 31 and having the money to be able to do it. And guess what? That brought a lot of peace and joy in our home. And at that point, can you see how, like, there's no turning back? Like, that's a burning platform. Okay. Making that extra money to be able to provide that school for her. Okay. When the going got tough and I was struggling, or, whatever, like, I couldn't talk about quitting or up and quitting or any of that foolish quitting talk, because, right. This is what was so there you go. Like, that was the burning platform. All right. So I hope that makes sense. You guys tracking with me on that? All right. Any questions? Because I'm going to move on to another topic. So any questions about that before we move on?
Terry's got to share hers.
Okay, I can put on there. Okay, so I'll do it real quick, because like she said, it is a longer process if you do it quickly, but I tried to take some quick notes if I remembered what I had said when she went through this with me. So when I was in Florida on that retreat, we did literally sit by the pool, and she did ask me all those questions. And we probably talked for, 20, 30 minutes about it to really get me to go deep. But mine kind of went like this, what's your why? Well, I joined because I wanted to make some extra money to renovate our house. Why did you need to do that? Well, because I was a stay-at-home mom, and, I didn't have the money to do it. Okay, why were you stay-at-home mom? Because I wanted to take care of my kids. Well, why couldn't you afford to do it? Why couldn't you afford to fix your house up? Why did you need to have 31? Well, because my husband's in ministry, and I want to keep, doing 31 so that he can keep being in ministry and we can still pay for the things we need. Okay, well, and so she just kind of kept going, and we got to the point where it was like, really, I remember saying, well, I want to be able to be more available for my kids, having a job that's flexible. Because of course I could get another job, right? You can have lots of jobs that can pay the bills, and it's not just 31. But for me, it was, I wanted a job that was flexible, could work around my kids. We don't have local family. So in order to be available for them, a flexible job was a key. And then as we continued, she kept asking why, and I got to
why is that important to you?
Yes, why is that important? And because I said, I wanted to be sure that I was the greatest influence in my children's life. I didn't want to, put them in, have to put them in daycare, or again, because we don't have local family, I would have to be getting people to watch them. So to me, it was very important that, they get most of their time is with me when they're not in school. And so we continued to go on. And then, she's like, well, why do you want to be the greatest influence in your life? Why would that be important? Why is that different? And so it kind of came down to that I want to raise my kids to love the Lord as much as we do and go out into the world someday and serve him in whatever way God calls them to do it. And so really it has nothing to do with renovating my basement. that was just like, okay, I need some money for the basement. But what was all that was behind it? And the deeper and deeper I got, I'm like, it's really all about my kids and what God has called me to do with raising these kids. Nothing about the basement. And so it was just really cool. And of course I was, I'm sure you guys are shocked, but I was bawling my eyes out. I know that never happens. But it was really good. So if you have time to do that with someone else, either, just get a partner and have them just, even if they don't know what to say, just tell them to keep asking you why, but just keep talking it through. Or if there's another consultant on the team, you can go back and forth and help each other. Because I really couldn't have given you that answer until she asked me why 15 times. So it was eye-opening, and it really is, like what she said, motivating. Like, not that I've thought about like quitting like in the last month or so since we had that conversation, but it just has fueled me, I guess, differently, because my why, although I thought I had a powerful one, it's so much more powerful now. So yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So
Amen. Yeah. And then, getting it in front of you, once you figure it out, you get it in front of you, and then you talk with your husband about it. And then you talk with your kids about it. And then you talk with your friend, like you keep it in front of you. So, okay, well, that's awesome. Yeah. And it is not hard to do at all. Okay. So good. I wanted to just transition into, because I think that that's the biggest, most important thing. And I think that is the bigger reason for tonight. But Terry did ask me to just, because I do enjoy sponsoring and I'm good at it. And it's one of my passions. I wanted to just touch on sponsoring a little tiny bit. So I was going to ask you, but because we're a little tight on time, I think I'm just going to like sort of say some of the things I'm thinking instead. But I think it's important, that's funny, that you're asking yourself, why would I sponsor? I didn't even realize that I was saying that. Why sponsor? Why do we sponsor? Why would I want to sponsor? Why should we sponsor? And, a couple of the things, of course, that you've heard before, she needs us. Okay. That's why we sponsor, because she needs us. And guess what? It's not about you. It's not about you. Sponsoring has nothing to do with you and everything to do with her. She has problems. We have solutions. Sponsoring is a gift. My next bullet point, even after I say it's not about you, that it's about her, you're still a businesswoman. Okay. You're still a businesswoman. And if you want to make the big money, and if you want to make consistent money, and through the years, I went from making $1,000 a month as a director. As I headed towards senior director, it was $2,000, $2,500, a month. And as I continued to grow, heading towards executive director, that's where it was like $3,000, $4,000. Solid executive director, that's a month. Solid executive director, moving to senior executive director, that's when it was $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month. And as I finally made it to senior executive director, it was consistently 6, 7, 8,000 on the path to senior executive director. And once I hit SED, it was consistently 8,000. And my goal was to make $10,000 a month. And I was heading in that direction, and was probably could make almost $10,000 a month, 6 out of 12 months, right up until 2019, when things started to get a little bit, shaky with 31. We were having our troubles with shipping and all that stuff. And in June of 2019, I got diagnosed with melanoma. I have eye cancer. And so at the same time where 31 was a little shaky, and then I got cancer, and I had 6 months of some really, um, big health struggles as I was getting treatment and everything, was the same time that things were rough with 31. And so certainly my income did start to deteriorate. And then in the beginning of 2020, woohoo, be still and know, and things were starting to come back. Then of course COVID, and we all know what happened there. So I say all that to say, yes, you can make money, you can make good money, you can make great money. And then I did go backwards. My whole other message for Neiderberger's team was all about being in the pit and climbing up back out of the pit, and how good God is. And his messages were keep your eyes on me, keep your eyes on me, have faith, have trust, hold me by your right hand, and praise God. I think we're done. I mean, just let me inspire you a little bit. Woohoo, if you're not seeing that we're on our way back, your eyes aren't open, because man, and I think we're going to be better than ever. And my paychecks, ooh, it was bad there for a few months. I was back down to making like $3,000-4,000 a month, which if you're used to making 8 to 10, right, 3 to 4 is like practical poverty. And I don't mean that tongue in cheek. I don't mean that tongue in cheek. But I made really good money starting out, right, with my other job. Like I wasn't used to not, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, woohoo, my paycheck last month was like $6,500 again. And I can see, that we're definitely on the rise. So be encouraged, even if you've struggled. And that little message is that's for free. I wasn't intending to say that. But the money is there. The money is definitely there. But it all comes with recruiting. That's why I'm saying that, because you will not make that kind of money, and you cannot make sustained money, and you can't get your family out of debt and do the things you want to do and whatever, unless you sponsor. And it may seem counterintuitive. It may be like, well, why would I recruit somebody and lose all that income or whatever? Listen, just trust me. We don't have to get into the math. It's how you make the big money and the sustained money. And if you're interested in that, go for it. If you're not interested in it, that's okay too. And we'll meet you where you're at. But the other reason why we sponsor is we want to share something of value to others. So some of the hows, okay? None of this is new. I'm sure you've heard this all before, but I will tell you, this is what has helped me to be successful. These are some of my hows. So, and also always listen to Julie Aldridge. She is doing a phenomenal job with our training, and she's very trustworthy. And anytime you can do anything out on the pink bubble that you can hear from Julie, listen to Julie's training. And then any of you guys tonight, were you in Accelerate? Do we have any Accelerate girls here? Keep working to get into that program, because that is really good. But in the meantime, Julie's teaching us out on the pink bubble. I loved, she said this just a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, we all know you want to work with your hostesses. She's your number one person that you're probably going to sponsor. And you want to let her and everybody know, this is important, you're looking for consultants and leaders. Okay, those are words that you need to use. You're looking for consultants to join you, and you're looking for leaders. And you would not believe how many women that are thinking about the business that want to be leaders will join, because you said you're not just looking for, average consultants, you're looking for leaders. There's a lot of women out there that are looking for leadership positions. So I think that I could just like kiss her feet when she said that. Okay, some of my other hows are: be sincere, tell your story, speak from your heart. Okay, you be you. Don't recruit like somebody else does. Don't sponsor the way somebody else does and all the hoo-ha that they say and the scripting and whatever. You just be you. Okay. You just share your heart. You just talk about your business and how, and what it means to you. And then of course you're going to be talking to her about her. That's the most important part, is not talking about you, but talking about her. But just do it in your own skin. Just be you and speak from your heart. When you're working with gals, that you can definitely see, well, I think this business is for everybody. So I think it's for everybody, but just try to pique their curiosity. Just try to like pique their curiosity. Vomiting on them never works. Okay. We get super excited. Vomiting never works. Vomiting scares people. It's too much information. I've vomited on many a person and it just doesn't work. But for the grace of God, I mean, he can turn anything around. We can screw things up terribly and he can still make it happen. But just if you find yourself vomiting, just like try not to do that. Help them to imagine the possibilities. Okay, people need vision. People need you to cast a bit of a vision. They can't see what you can see. So help them to imagine the possibilities, cast that vision. And honestly, I think this might be the number one for me for all 10, 11 years. Tell them what you see in them. Tell them what you see in them. Tell them what it is you see in them that you think would make them be an amazing consultant. Maybe they're funny, maybe they're sweet, maybe they're helpful, maybe they're organized, maybe they're goal-driven, maybe they're funny. I mean, whatever it is, and that's the part about being sincere. And they just don't see it themselves, right? Like I'm sure any of you guys would say the same thing, that there's something that Terry or Carissa has seen in you and they have told you and you're like, what? Like we just don't see those things in ourselves. And so then we don't have the confidence, right? But if you can just pour into them, love on them, share with them, tell them what you see. And then when they put their head on the pillow that night, they're like, wow, Kelly thinks, XYZ about me. Huh. Well, maybe I could do this. Okay. I think that's huge. The other one, like everything, follow up. Okay. Follow up. If we think for 1 minute, we're going to sell anything, book anything, have anyone join, have anything productive happen in our business with one blanket statement out on a VIP page or one blanket post about something, I mean, you're nuts. Okay. Completely nuts. Not going to happen. It's all about how we follow up. And Julie tells an amazing story of when she first started in direct sales. She needed it. She wanted it. She needed the money so bad that she went to a party, the lady invited her. Julie was embarrassed. She didn't want to say yes in front of these other women because then they might know how badly she needed the money. So she's like, no, but she wanted to say yes, but she said no. And the next day the lady called her on the phone and she followed up. And Julie says the first time the lady asked was her job. The second time the lady asked her to join, she was sincere. She knew she cared about her. She cared enough to pick up the phone and call her. And that is when she joined, and that changed her life. They could barely buy groceries. And she wouldn't say yes at the party in front of the other people. But when the lady, what a story. So the connected contacts thing, making connected contacts. And honestly, I love private messenger so much. I just can't even tell you. And I am a people person and I never did a Facebook party. And I don't know, Terry, if you know this or not, but not only did I seriously never did one Facebook party in my life. And I can say that, the prior to COVID thing, because I tried a couple and I was so bad, I abandoned them. mid-party. I never even finished the party. I started and then I never even talked to the people again. I never talked to them again. We just let it die, and it died a cruel death. And okay, so I didn't not do Facebook parties. I started them and let them die. So
She does them
you can
now.
imagine. Oh, well, that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
at least in the last few months. You
Right.
do
In
them
the
now.
last few months. Yeah, no, but I
We've
mean, like
talked. We've helped
I
her.
only started Facebook parties last fall. So yeah, no, it was all bad. And so I didn't think I'd ever be able to do it because I couldn't stand it. And I wanted to be with people or whatever. And you can flip it all into private messenger. And it's totally amazing. So I have my little star around, it's not about you. And so my final thing with that is, you don't need to talk about you, talk about her. It doesn't have to be about your story. It's about her story. So then you are saying things like, I don't know what's going on at your house. Maybe it is. And then when you start to list these things, maybe you have student loans, lots of stress, living paycheck to paycheck, can't afford a vacation, extracurricular activities for your kids. Maybe it's credit card debt. Maybe you've got nothing for yourself, lacking in friends, right? Like you are trying to, it's not about your story. It's tapping into her story and then listening. And then she has problems. You have a solution. Okay, that's the answer to sponsoring. So I'm going to end on, I taught this I think this is what I did on my very, very original video that I ever did to be a facilitator at national conference many, many years ago. And I think it's brilliant. And it is about the 3 unspoken questions a woman has in her head when she's thinking about joining. There's 3 unspoken. She doesn't say them typically out loud, but she has them, and it's up to you to answer these questions that she's not even asking. And this is what they are. Can I do this? Will she help me? And can I trust her? Can I do this? Will she, and then in parentheses, it's really they, the company. Will she and the company help me? And can I trust her? So when I'm working with women that I'm trying to help join because they have problems and we have a solution, I want to be addressing those 3 things. And I typically say, you can do this. Okay. You can totally do this. Boom. That answers that question. Yep. You can do it. I believe in you. The second thing I'm making sure is I'm just finding a couple ways to tell her how I will help her and how the company will help her, and that we have lots of support. Okay. She needs to know that because she's afraid that nobody will help her and she's afraid that she's going to fail. And then the last question is, can I trust her? She wants to know if she can trust me. She wants to know if she can trust the company. She wants to know if we are trustworthy. So, I sponsor a lot of ladies that they don't know me from Adam. Okay. They're home office leads. I've met them at, whatever. I do not know these ladies. And I make sure when we're talking that I say, I know you don't know me from Adam, but I want you to know that you can trust me. Okay. Now, I don't mind saying that because guess what? I am trustworthy. I'm not perfect. I'm going to screw up. I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm trustworthy. So I don't mind letting them know that I know you don't know me, but I want you to know that you can trust me. I've been at this a long time. I've helped many women and blah, 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 whatever, without vomiting on her. But you do want to let them know that they can trust you. And then you want to prove that by, if you're going to do a dance for a little while, if you say you're going to do something, do it. if you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, own up to it, do the things about being trustworthy, but it's also about authenticity trust, about being real and authentic. And that's the bigger thing around trust. It's authenticity trust. It's a different form of trust than just, trust. So because I'm talking about trust, I want to end where we began, and it's 10 o'clock. So I know our time is up. Sorry. Welcome to Time with Kelly Ricketts. Trust. Okay. I just want to read you that last paragraph on trust and trusting the Lord. Okay. Because trust is so important, and we know where we get our trust from. I want you to work on strengthening your trust muscles. One way is to fill your mind and heart with scripture. Another is to seek my face continually. Instead of getting stuck on introspection, negative, ugly, rotten, miserable, horrible thoughts in your head that come from Satan, instead of getting stuck in introspection, turn your thoughts toward me. Make it a practice to affirm your faith in me frequently, whether you are feeling confident or inadequate. Remember that your adequacy rests in your relationship with me. I make you ready for anything and equal to anything by infusing inner strength into you. Boom. Amen. Amen. Way to go. I can't see who's doing that. It says Galaxy. I know that's not your name.
That's Vicky.
There you have it.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. That was fantastic. I have lots of notes here. I just appreciate all of that wisdom. I told you guys it would be great.
Somebody still has to ask a question though, or I will just not feel like my job is done, or comment.
Okay. Well, how about this? Let's take a picture, and then we can open it up for questions.
Picture her.
For those who, picture her. Look all great, because we all look good at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah. I had a nap before I came.
Picture her. Nice. All right. So we'll get a picture, and then anyone who, I know a few of you guys have early mornings for work. If you need to go, that's fine, but we'll open up for questions for anyone who can stay. And if you have anything to ask Kelly, but let's see if I can do my screenshot here. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
You have to switch screens.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the other one.
Okay, everybody smile because you never know which screen you're on.
Yeah, right.
I see.
I'm making sure I saved that one. Sorry. I'm not very good at
Yay. Boop,
Okay.
boop, boop, boop,
Back
boop,
to
boop,
my,
boop. Yay.
I think
Yay.
okay, sorry. All right, now we're gonna do page 2. Ready? Smile. All right, awesome.
Awesome.
Okay, so if anyone goes to work at 4 a.m., which I know is a couple of you guys, although this is probably working really well we have some West Coast girls, so they finally are the ones who aren't tired. That works out good for them. Oftentimes our things don't work well for them, but this is good timing. Okay, I just want to say, this is not a question, but I just love how the two things you talked about really fit together. This was like my aha, like if you know your deeper why, then you'll be able to sponsor better for 2 reasons. Number 1, you'll know your own story that you can share with them, like you were saying. But number 2, you'll know that she has a why. And so you got to share with her because she has a why just like you do. And once you realize that, I think that's when it starts being about her instead of you. And it's totally connected to you understanding your own why. So I loved how those 2 things just meshed together. Perfect. So that was my aha moment for the night. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I just loved the training. I mean, I wasn't sure because, I've heard a lot of trainings on your why. And so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. And this is probably the best one I've ever heard. Like, just starting to think about it and not really actually do it. I'm starting to think, wow, this could be so powerful, just even in my life, but like thinking about the women on our team, and I don't know, it's like, why have I never heard this before? So thank you so much
Amen.
for sharing.
Amen. Yep. And Chris, it's not hard, right? I mean, that's the thing. You
No.
could see it's really not. But I mean, just notice that at a certain point, because it sounds absurd, like when someone is telling you something that's really like halfway there and it's quite deep, and you're saying, well, why is that important? Well, what are you, an idiot? Like, you can't figure out why that's important. But that's where I say, okay, I know this is going to sound crazy. Work with me here. Why is that important? Right. And then they're like, okay,
You did that. Yeah.
yeah, that's important,
I
I
love
think.
it. Yep. The whole work with me. I know it sounds crazy. Like,
Yeah, just work with me here. Oh, and
Yep.
by the way, I do this in PM all the time. Like, it's rarely in person. Uh, and the fun thing about doing it in Messenger, like, I don't know if some of you guys know Rebecca Maurer. She's one of my directors, and five or so years ago, we opened up conference with her story. She was a dancer. I don't know how long you guys have been around. Anyway, she had an amazing story, and she's one of my directors that's been in and out, up and down, like a couple of times, with like, because all kinds of crazy things happening in her life. And she was out. She was not a director for a while, and came back and gone and back, whatever. And just recently, even after all these years, we did her deeper why activity again, just with text, just PMing each other. And the thing about that is, when you throw it back to them, then it gives them a chance to really like think about it. And then they start telling you, and then you read it, and then you listen to that. And then I even type, okay, I know this sounds crazy, but why? But you can do it in Messenger with each other too. And gosh, by golly, that girl figured out that her why is so that her son will be proud of her. And if you knew her story, you'd understand how, like, she kind of abandoned him for a while when she was younger. And boom, the lights came on. Next thing you know, she's doing this thing for foster care with kids with bags. And she sold $2,000, and she re-engaged all her girls, and she this and she that. And I'm talking about 2 days after we did this activity, all the lights came on, flipped the switch, boom. She DIQ'd last month, and she's going to promote again this month. Now, nobody but God, right? I mean, like, and we give him all the glory, and she and I are very connected spiritually. But anyway, do it in PM too.
Love it.
awesome.
So maybe you could read what that question was, because I couldn't see it very good.
It says, I'm new. I was wondering why we use the word sponsor versus recruit, is what I assume she means. Why do we say sponsor instead of recruit?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's just a language thing. And I'm a big proponent of sponsor over recruit.
Agree.
And, might be my HR background and whatever. I just think it's a softer language. And, I don't know, recruit just has these other things that come along with it, but sponsoring just seems more loving and more supportive. And recruiting sounds very me focused. I'm recruiting you. And to me, sponsoring sounds more you focused.
Yeah, I heard it explained once, like, a recruiter just gets you in the door. A sponsor continues to walk with you. So, like the Army recruiters, their job is just to get you to sign up to join the Army. They don't go to basic training with you. Whereas as a sponsor, you get them in the door, and then you walk the path with them. And so someone explained it somewhere that way. And I thought, okay, that language makes sense to me.
Good analogy.
It's very true because I honestly, when I first joined in October, I think Carissa was the one that ran like she called it like October boot camp for new consultants or something like that. I am a veteran, so when I saw that, my mind, now I know, like I knew it was not, screaming drill instructors. I got it, but your mind automatically goes there, and you do associate recruit with at least I associate recruit with screaming people. So sponsor is a lot softer, a lot softer, because I'm telling you, my recruits did not tell me what I was getting into. And then of course, when I was in, I was called to recruit. So my recruiters get you in the door, then you're called to recruit. And that's a whole nother ball game. And then, so sponsor is a lot better. And they, honestly, we don't consider, your drill instructors do, obviously they teach you very, very loudly. But once you head out into the fleet and stuff like that, that's when you really find somebody that kind of takes you under the wing, and they're more like your sponsor, but you don't find them until long after you have given up that recruit title. So it is a lot softer. I will have to agree.
Thank you for that. All right.
Anything else, anybody?
I just want to say thank you. And also, I've been working on sponsoring myself. I've been trying to grab more ladies. And recently I had one, I actually talked to Terry about her. She said she just wanted to kidnap. She messaged me and she's like, I really just want to kidnap. I don't want to do anything with this. And I didn't know what to say to her. I was like stunned. I'm like, okay, like, what do I do? And Terry told me, we'll see if she will let you throw her a launch party still, even though she says she doesn't want to sell, she doesn't want to do this. So I reached out to her and she's going to do a launch party, but she's still insistent that she's not going to sell after that. And I don't want to throw word vomit at her and tell her, all of these things about, oh, this is going to be so amazing for you. And I don't want to scare her away, but I feel like I can somehow draw her in. She just seems so hesitant. Like,
Yeah.
she came straight out and said, I don't know enough people. I can't do this. There's no way. But I feel something in her where I'm like, girl, I just wish you would try. And I don't know. Yeah.
Yes. Listen, it is the plight of 31 consultants all over the world, right? Like, we have all struggled with this. I will share a couple of thoughts about it that I do feel very strongly about. And you can take it or leave it. I feel very strongly, I have very strong feelings about kidnapping and what is real kidnapping and what is just people just being, afraid or nervous or whatever. But if I'm at a party or, it used to be a party, or I'm having conversations, whatever, and you've got that girl who is basically saying, hell no, I will never do anything with this. Look at that deal, man, I could pay $50 and, get a wallet, or I could spend it and I can get a wallet and a this and a that and that, sign me up. I just want, right, that person. Hell no, hell to the NOO. Like, I am not. And I will straight up say, okay, so you're just looking for a good deal, right? You're like, I'm just real honest. Yeah. And they're no more interested in they're not even really talking about being a personal shopper per se. They just want that one time stealing from 31. And when I sense that, like, I nope, like, I won't really have much to do with it at all. But what I do say is, hey, listen, you're just looking for a good deal. I can help you get a good deal. I can help you get stuff for free. You're not going to have to pay a cent. Forget kidnapping, forget buying a kit. Like, be a hostess, with me, and let me help you get the stuff for free. Because here's the thing. If they did really want to join and they were a hostess and they agreed to be a hostess, if they're not even going to agree to be a hostess, they're sure as heck not going to be much of a consultant. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all kind of lining up here. And so I've talked several women out of just kidnapping because it actually is a hot button for me. I feel like it's almost stealing, and I just won't subscribe to helping with that. And you will never hear me say, get the kit, it's the best deal. You know, oh, just buy the kit, it's the best deal. No, you're selling them short, you're selling yourself short, and I'm not having it. However, when I have ladies that say, oh no, I just want to be a kidnapper because, you know, la 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 la, and they're just lacking in confidence. And then, but when I say, you know, but do you want to try? Like, do you want to try? Is it something that if you would partner with me and you would get a little bit of training and I would tell you, you know, what to do and you would trust me and we would like, is it something you would try? And then when they say, well, I might try, like, you know, or there's that first question is, if you were ever to do anything like this is straight from Amy Neal. This is Amy Neal 101. If you were ever to do anything like this, what would be your reason why? If you were ever to ever join 31, what would be your reason why? And then she says, to have fun, to make a little extra money because I love the product. Da, da. If you can, if there's a conversation like, okay, but what if anything is getting in your way? That's the second question. What if anything is getting in your way? Then depending on what she says, that's her objection. And that's when you know that's not a kidnapper. That's just a scared lady. But my last caveat, and the most important, I think, is you've heard this over and over and over and over, I'm sure. You don't want it for them more than they want it for themselves. You can see everything in the world for her. You can see it all. You can see how it's amazing and it's going to totally change her life. But if you want it more than she does, it's never going to work because it's a numbers game also. And so about half the people that join are never going to do anything. So sure as heck, the ones that are kicking and screaming all the way and have absolutely no confidence and they're probably going to be the ones that aren't really going to do a whole lot of anything. So why invest all this time and energy and begging and all that? So that's my 10 cents worth on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, I didn't know where to go with it because I had never,
Yeah.
it
'Cause
never
you're
came up before. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But I'll tell you that one thing about, you know, it sounds like you want a deal and I can help you with the deal. You be a hostess with me and I'll help you get it all for free. And then you can pick out what you want. Although now they have the customizable kits. So like they can pick out what they want anyway. But anyway, people are going to kidnap.
Yeah. That's
And
a
as
good way
long
to
as-
turn it around, make it into a booking if you can.
Yeah.
But I mean, that she did say she would do a launch party though, right, Michelle? Like so I think just from the little bit that I've heard that it may be a lack of, you know, like those questions, you know, she doesn't think she can do it. She's not sure if anyone's going to help her, you know, that is probably, it seems like with this girl. So, you know, we'll do the launch party. We'll see what comes of it. Hopefully,
Yeah.
so hopefully she'll
And
build
pray.
enough confidence. Yes.
Yeah. And just pray about it. Just pray about it. Lord will open doors, close doors. Well, thank you, ladies.
Yes. Thank you,
Thank
Kelly.
you.
We appreciate you taking the time to be here and sharing all your wisdom. And we have a lot to talk about now. So this is awesome.
Yes. And, you know, one thing I do ask, because, you know, I love to do this and the Lord, you know, told me, gosh, a long time ago, you focus on kingdom business and I'll focus on your business. And so I don't ever mind doing things like this, you know, but in return, I really would, I like to see action, right? I do like to see, like, I hate to take the time and pour into you guys for it all to be not, because you don't actually learn anything until you do something. So one of the nice things about that, the group that you have, and you'll have one for each month, maybe you guys could go out there. I mean, and I don't even care if you post anything on my personal page, because I think that does inspire other women. But even in that group, if you guys can think about what's one of your ahas, you know, what is something you learned, which is great, but what's an action step that you're going to take? What's something you're going to do based on something you learned tonight? And it's a real action step, like just take the next step. It's an action. It's not a thought. It's what are you going to do with this information? So that fills my cup. And that's sort of like the thank you to Kelly for spending time with you guys tonight. That's really important to me, because life is short, ladies. Life is short.
And it's really good when we do that, because it kind of helps us to solidify what we learned. And then we also get that accountability from, you know, the other ladies on the team. So I'll put up a post and then everybody can, you know, share, you know, even if you want to think about it to tonight and, you know, tomorrow be able to kind of get your thoughts together and, you know, what was your biggest aha and what is your action step going forward? So yeah, I'm excited to see what everybody's going to say.
Great.
All right. Thank you again. Happy fingers. All right, guys. Thank you guys all for coming. Congratulations again for earning a spot, and go work that April so you can be at the next one. All right. See you guys later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Night.